Get in your happy mode. Wait a minute. Hey, what's up, YouTubers? This is Sean, and I'm coming at you with another video. Today, I'm in the mood for lasagna. So if you want to know how I get down in the kitchen with some meaty, extra cheesy lasagna, just stick around and I'll show you how I do what I do. See you in a minute. Alright, so for my lasagna, I like to start on my meat sauce. Extra virgin olive oil. About a couple tablespoons or so. I already got my stove turned on to medium heat. Alright, so I'm gonna let this warm up the temperature. I'm gonna do everything in one pan for the most part, but you could definitely do your sauce separately. I like to do that a lot of times when I have time, so I can develop flavor in the sauce, and then I'll add the meat later, and then cook them together for a while. All right, so now we're going to add in some onions. I'm going to saute these up. This is chopped finely from a large onion. I'm going to put in some chopped carrots. This is from 3 carrots, but I'm not going to use all of it. Use about half. Now we got about where we want it. We've been going for about 5 minutes. All right, like I said, I want to come in with some minced garlic next. And I'm gonna do about 2 heaping half tablespoons. A little bit more to the measure. I'm using 3 different meats. We're going with ground beef, 80-20, some mild ground Italian sausage, and also turkey. This is one of my first times using turkey in my lasagna. They had a sale on it. I wanted to try it out. Alright, so we was handling raw meat, so just a reminder out there, I know y'all pretty much know this is 101. Change my gloves, wash my hands, and put on some new ones. But I'm basically trying to get the meat up, get it browned, and make sure it's real nice and incorporated with the onions and garlic and carrots. Alright, so it's like it's starting to pull away from some juices. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna help the process along. Add some salt and some pepper, and then I'm gonna put a top on it. Alright, we're gonna start out with 8 ounces of tomato sauce. All right, so I did it a quick taste test. I think I'm gonna need add a little salt, and also I'm gonna add some tomato sauce. Add maybe about half of this can. All right, I'm looking where I want to be. So now I'm gonna add some finely chopped basil, tablespoon. And a tablespoon of finely chopped parsley. And the leaves of a couple sprigs of thyme, actually about 5. All right, so we're gonna bring this up to a boil. Get it all mixed up. Once we get it to a real good boil, which was almost there until I stirred it, we're going to reduce the heat and cover and let it simmer for a while. Altogether, we're looking at about 30 to 45 minutes of simmering. Alright, so now I'm going to start working on my ricotta mixture. Some people use cottage cheese, I prefer ricotta. So we're going with some whole milk ricotta, salt and pepper to taste, some Parmigiana reggiano, some chopped parsley, some shredded Parmesan cheese, some chopped basil, and an egg to bind everything together. Alright, so the ricotta, we want to use about a pound. This is a 32-ounce container, so we're going to use a little bit more than half. All right, next we're going to go with some Parmigiano reggiano, a quarter cup or so. Tablespoon parsley leaves, tablespoon of basil, a couple pinches of Parmesan cheese, egg to bind it all together. So we're gonna add a little bit of salt, about 6 turns. 8 turns of pepper or so, counting count. I'm gonna mix this all together. Go ahead and pop this in, wrap it up and pop it in the refrigerator and let the flavors meld together. We're about at the halfway mark. Still simmering. Doing pretty good. I'm occasionally stirring it. It's time to get started on my pasta noodles. Alright, so we're starting to get the pasta water noodles to boil. I'm going to add some salt. It's probably about 2 gallons or so in there. I added about a tablespoon. I usually use, as a rule of thumb, a tablespoon per gallon. And I'm using kosher salt today, so it's a little less salty. All right, so we got our water up to a boil now. We're gonna add in our noodles. I'm gonna use a whole pack of 16 ounce of regular lasagna noodles. All right, so what we want to do is get these noodles cooking, soften them up. We want to leave them just before al dente. You know, the package hasn't cooked fully, so I'll take a couple minutes off of it. So I'm gonna do these to about 8 to 10 minutes or so. Start taking the noodles out, about where I want them to be. They'll finish cooking in the oven. I like my noodles to be a little pliable. All right, so here are the final product of the meat ragu. Let it simmer. It went for a good 45 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. Smelling good, I tasted it. Remember to always taste your food and edit to what you like. So we're gonna go ahead and start our layering. First thing we wanna do is start with a layer of meat. This is gonna protect your noodles. Doesn't have to be a thick layer, just a good layer of meat at the very bottom of the pan. You can always use Pam spray or some other type of butter spray to coat your pan at the bottom if you're afraid it's going to stick. It couldn't hurt. But the meat generally serves a good barrier for you. All right, so after the meat sauce, we're gonna start layering with the noodles. And next we're gonna go with the layer of ricotta mixture that we made a little earlier. Now remember, I'm in my sister's house, I don't have a rubber spatula to make this process a little bit easier. But that's all right, we make do with what we're working with. After you're satisfied with the layer of ricotta you want, I'm gonna add a little bit of cheese to it. We're working with some freshly grated cheddar cheese. Do a thin layer on top, and then mozzarella, freshly grated mozzarella, freshly shredded mozzarella. All right, so now we got the cheese there. We're gonna do another layer of meat. Now the way you layer this is totally up to you. The most important thing is that you keep the stuff even, and you start with that meat sauce layer. All right, so we're gonna come up with some noodles. It's a pretty big pan, so it's overlapping a little bit to make it fit. But you always can cut and manipulate. They'll meld together as they're cooking. All right, so now we're gonna put another layer of ricotta mixture, the last layer. All right, so then we're gonna go with another layer of cheese. First this time. All right, so we got a layer of mozzarella. We're gonna add a little bit of cheddar, not too much. Mainly for color and flavor. So, you know, I decided last minute, add some pepperoni. I don't like to add too much pepperoni, but I'd like to give one layer every now and then. You know, just to amp up that Italian flavor feel. Give people a little surprise when they dig into the lasagna. All right, so we're gonna finish it off with the last meat layer. All right, so we just put a thin layer of meat up there for the last layer. And we go with dusting of some Parmigiana reggiano, a little bit of Parmesan cheese. All right, and then we're gonna go with some mozzarella. I ran out of my freshly grated stuff, so I had a little standby. The last layer we're gonna go with is the rest of our shredded cheese. By the way, when I grated out the cheese, they were both the cheddar and the mozzarella was about 16 ounces. Not too much. For a little color. basil. All right, so we're gonna wrap this in tin foil and we're gonna put it in the oven. We're looking at about 45 minutes. We're gonna pull out the tin foil about halfway through the baking process, maybe a little bit more than halfway, and we'll see you then. All right, I got it nicely secured in the tin foil, and a little trick that Mama Frog had taught me. You can check out her channel, Maddie's Kitchen. She got a lot of good cooking tips there. I probably learned everything I know from her. But the tip that she gave me, these are store-bought little disposable aluminum foil type of pans, and this is a lot of stuff inside, and it's very flimsy. So you put a tray underneath it, and you lift the tray up, and you have no problems. So I already had the oven preheated to 375. We're gonna pop this in the oven, like I said, for about 45 minutes altogether. I'm gonna take a look at it about the halfway point, and when it starts getting real bubbly, I'm gonna take off the foil. I may show you that. All right, so I'll be right back. See you in a little bit. All right, so we're just taking out the oven. It's been there about 35 minutes. We had the tin foil a little close to the edges. That's okay. We're gonna top it off with a little bit more cheese. It's bubbling like I want it. And then we're gonna get a hard crust on there, put it in for another 20-25 minutes. And we should be good to go. And we're gonna finish off with a little bit of cheeses. I'm gonna use all of them in the areas that's missing cheese. Not too much. I love it cheesy, don't get me wrong, but there is such thing as too much cheese. Just a little bit more greenery. Just because we can. Alright guys, so we just got it out the oven, let it rest for a few minutes, and gonna cut it up. Oh yeah. Nice and cheesy, meaty like I like it. So there you have it, the final product. I appreciate your time, and I'll holler at you next time. Peace.
This is a warm welcome from the bottom of our hearts from the Foreshore Family channel. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. Until next time, see ya.